to the Off Script Podcast. I am your host, Will May, and we have an incredibly talented and a younger agent that has a really long pathway ahead of him, but has already in less than 5 years become a top agent here in Omaha, Nebraska. Garrett Tennant, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, I'm excited to have this conversation. I have had a few brief interactions with you in terms of like what you're looking to do with your career, which is very interesting, what your long-term goals are, but to see how quickly you've burst into the Omaha market and become a top agent, and you've done it with like this calm demeanor, is cool to watch. So I'm excited to get in this conversation and just understand how the heck did you even get here?
Oh, let's jump into it.
Let's do it. I think last year we just talked numbers a little bit. I'll kind of let you explain like what your numbers were the first 3 years. But last year, 95 deals, over 30 million in volume. This year, we're already over 45 deals and 15 to 16 million in volume this year. That's a really quick pathway to that. What was year one like?
Year one was very slow. Well, first, I didn't sell a house for the first 12 months after I got my license, which I think is actually pretty normal for a lot of agents. I didn't go down the quick lead strategies of Zillow leads or paying for leads. I opted for let's build a business out that's going to, look good in year 2, 3, and 4. Because being honest, we had very low bills, so I figured if I could squeak by for 12 months, I'll probably have something that looks good. And then sold the first house and really haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. Why real estate in the first place? How did you come all the way to real estate?
Graduated, we talked a little bit right before this, but graduated from Doane in 2020, 2021, something like that. And I went back home up to South Dakota and worked in private banking for a little while. As I was in private banking, got into doing some, buying some distressed properties, fixing them up, renting them out. So bought 2 that way, met my now wife, and she got into med school at Creighton. So came down to Omaha, bought a 4-unit here in Omaha to do kind of the same thing. Had a job offer on the table to go and take a nice little corporate job, and decided. My wife told me that I should get my real estate license instead.
Okay,
so I did.
You trusted her?
I did. Yep, I did. She goes, "You'd be good at this, and you can just sell your own properties." I was like, "Okay, well, let's do that." And then I'll put that on the back burner. That was in Iowa, and I was going to be a couple hours away. So I decided to get my license, and here we are.
So the 4-unit was in Iowa?
No, 4-unit was here in Omaha.
Was here in Omaha. Yep. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to get my license. The original goal is just to sell your own?
Yep. Original goal is just to sell my own. So actually, I ended up selling the 4-unit a couple months after I bought it. Okay. And I told myself that the money I made in that was going to be, when that ran up, I'm going to go get a job. Okay. Real estate is done. I'm going to stop doing the whole real estate, being a realtor or whatever. And I was down to like $3,000 when I sold my first house.
Dang. From
that transaction. So,
The money lasted though. You're here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So when you decided to make that switch of like, all right, I'm going to give this a chance, or what was your strategy coming in then?
Just talk to as many people as possible. Start building relationships for, not necessarily like now, but hey, whenever you are ready, I'm here. And just knowing that in any business, you're going to have some type of lead time, right? So, odds are nobody's ready today. I mean, percentage wise, the vast majority of people are ready in a year to 5 years. So, how many relationships can I build? And at some point, everybody's going to fall into the bucket of percentages, right? So, if 2% of people of 100, 2 of 100 people are going to be ready in the next 60 days, I got to talk to 100 people. Yeah. And then the other 98 are going to be ready in the next 5 years. Yeah. So, I slowly wanted to start building my business that way. I'm also not good at cold calling or cold outreach or really anything like that. So I figured that social media was a good place to start. Because, and we'll touch on this probably later, but a lot of people don't understand the power of social media. Just from a lot of people think, well, I only have 200 followers. I only have 300 followers. I can't post. It's like, that's still 200 people. If you had 200 people in a room and you were talking to them, you'd be like, there's a lot of people here. And people don't quite make that same mental switch in social media. So I decided to dive into social media, and that's taken off more than I ever thought it would.
Yeah, that's really cool. You touched on a really important part there, comparison, right? Like when we say we have 200 followers, or like you're like, hey, they're in the room.
Yep.
This would be a very simple thing for me to do. That would be a lot of people.
Yep.
Versus when you look at everybody else that's on social media, like, oh, they have more than me. That must mean I'm not good enough, right?
Yep.
So I think that's a really important part, and I think you probably dealt with that in your first year. You said a year, your first 12 months, no deals.
Yep.
What was your thought process months 6 through 9 as you got closer to that year?
Well, I think the thought process changes as you start to get leads,
Mhm.
right? So like, just because I didn't sell a house in the first 12 months didn't mean I have leads. So, I was slowly getting leads. I was slowly starting to build like, hey, this is working, this is working, this is working. But, it was, hey, I'm 6 to 9 months out. Hey, I'm a year out. Hey, I'm 6 to 9 months out. And after the first, 6 months of me doing all this stuff and not getting anybody, the 6 to 9 month people started to go, okay, well, I'm interested now.
Yep.
It's my time, my lease is up, whatever. And I think for a lot of new agents, they don't have the patience to stick that out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if we're being honest, not everybody has the luxury of time,
Yep.
So in my case, I was fortunate enough to have that, but, opting sometimes for the quick business ruins your long-term business as well.
Mm-hmm.
You use that as a crutch to not build this, because this you can go get, a quick couple grand.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like most times when we have younger agents that do focus on social media, they're that way, impatient, right? And so there's two things on the line. It seems like you come to this with a very like high level business understanding. We talked a little bit before this in terms of like where that came from, but your family seems to have a very important part in how you view business.
Yep.
How does your family and their business and their experience played a role in your success now?
Yeah, so my dad was a high level exec for a manufacturing company in where I grew up in South Dakota, growing up as not even the oldest child, but the only son, I got to follow him around. I worked for his company for a long time. I was involved a little bit. I just like to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a question asker. So you ask a lot of questions. You keep, hey dad, you look up to your dad, he's your biggest role model in life too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to emulate what he is. And I just slowly got more and more interested in business, for a long time before I quite understood how it all worked. I wanted to do his job when I got older.
Mm-hmm.
So from a young age, like that was my, plan. I wanted to do what he does. I slowly realized that I don't want to manage 400 employees over 6 continents. That just
quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want to do that. I don't have the patience for that. I think that just got instilled from a young age of, work hard and the rest will follow.
Yeah.
So from a business standpoint, I took what I've learned in banking and in manufacturing, and I implemented that into, it might sound weird, but I implemented that into real estate,
mm-hmm.
right? So every touch point, I think for real estate, people think we're in sales.
Yeah. Indirectly
we are, but we're just in a different form of business, right? So like, we're not selling anything, we're providing a service.
Mm-hmm.
We're helping people achieve goals. We're no different than, a financial advisor in that realm. My goal is not to sell anybody anything. If I'm doing my job, I shouldn't have to sell anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to help you guys do what you want to do, and make your dreams happen. Obviously if you're the selling agent, you're selling houses, but on a buyer side, it's like, hey, let's just help you do what you want to do. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Here you go. And I think kind of touching on lead time too, in any business, manufacturing, you have different lead times for different customers or different clients, and different products. So if you kind of bundle all that up into, our job and say, hey, a client has its own lead time, whether you're making something, you can kind of put the mental capacity or mental shift on a client being your product you're making,
mm-hmm.
right? And then when it ships out the door, it's them buying or selling their house.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how long do I have to make this client? That sounds a little bit weird, but like, how long does this have to bake for it to produce?
Yeah.
And what do I need to do along the way? You know, does it need to be built up from the foundation? Does it need to, you know, where in the process are we getting this in? You know, is it raw material? Is it, you know, whatever. So everything has time to get to here, and, you know, everybody's a different product. So it's all going to take a different,
I feel like
time.
the cool thing with the real estate is the unique part of you're working with humans. And so like every one of them is different. And so you get that's the challenge that we have in real estate. So it comes across very quickly. Like you have a business mindset coming into real estate. I'm a numbers person. I've always tracked numbers. Also have a finance background. And for me, I had a challenge when it came to becoming a salesperson, right? You said there's a sales aspect to this, and being in real estate, because I would rather just be numbers and quick, right? If it's efficient, does this work for me? You bring that. Has there been anything in real estate that's challenged you?
I would say the biggest challenge for me has been the people not thinking the way I think they should. I don't know if that sounds great, but it's the truth. Like, hey, like this just doesn't make sense to me as to why you're doing X, Y, and Z. I struggled with that for a long time, but then I realized that like I don't really need to know. If that's the way you think, then that's fine. Like it doesn't matter to me. I'm never going to try to convince you otherwise, because been there, done that, doesn't work. Like if you meet resistance with resistance, you're not getting anywhere. I would just say that sometimes the people aspect is a challenge, but like, you know, when it comes to, you know, you are the head of a brokerage, you have a bunch of young agents and newer and experienced agents. It's sometimes just doing the work's hard. I would say doing the work when you come from, you know, a big line of business, like you just have like, hey, I got to do this, and this, and leads will come. Right. So once you have kind of your process dialed in, it's really easy to hit all those check marks and go, leads will come. So like the actual business day is become, you know, relatively straightforward, seamless, easy. And, but just, you know, as you said earlier, people are different. So, the people are the challenge sometimes.
That's cool. And to be aware of that is really important. And so with you dealing with how many people you already have, like your success is unique. It's quick. Oftentimes things like that are not able to be sustained when you grow that fast. You seem to have found something that makes it sustainable for you, right? Because it wasn't just like a 1 year and then I dropped or I had to learn something in order to grow. You've been consistently building and building and building. And we'll talk about where you're going after this, but what's your biggest lead source? What's the main things that work for you when looking at your numbers right now?
Social media is definitely my biggest lead source.
You might not know this percentages wise, but around what percent is social media?
Last year it was probably 80 to 85%. This year it's 60.
Cool.
So being in the business now for 4 years or so, I'm starting to get the referral and repeat client.
Cool.
Which is a lot of fun. You know, when you've helped people 3 years ago and now they come back and say, hey, I had such a good experience with you. Let's do this again. You know, let's run it back. Like there's no better feeling, honestly. But yeah, I would say social media, and now it's become, you know, as you do more and more deals, you get more and more referrals. So it's social media referrals and repeat now. So it's cool to say, okay, well, you know, my social media business hasn't actually gone down at all. It's just a lower percentage of my business because I'm doing more business.
More deals, right? So one thing I've noticed with you is you do a really good job of asking for business in a way that is comfortable for people. And I think that's something that a lot of agents, especially new agents, but experienced agents too, struggle with that. How do I ask for business? How do I be confident in how I do that? But I think one thing that you do really well is you communicate how much you care and how much you're there for the actual individual versus just about wanting to help to, you know, it can come across transactional sometimes.
I think too, going back to, you know, having a process in place that you can relate to people and get people comfortable, and how do you, service all these people at the same time? It becomes a lot easier when you become their friend. You know, I care about you. I'm your, even if it's not even necessarily friend, but like, hey, we have some form of, you know, personal relationship. You know, the transaction becomes easier, and then just responsiveness, right? So like, I make it pretty clear with my clients that I want I'm not a big phone call guy, mostly because it takes a lot of time. You know, when you hop on a 5-minute phone call, you can't do anything else. But I can send one text in 5 seconds. So a lot of my conversations are through text message, mostly because my demographic of clients is under the age of 40. So that's
what
kind
they
of,
prefer.
Yeah, it's what we all prefer. And what was your question?
And then and then you use your in-person showings. I imagine that's where you're building rapport, connection, and not that you're facilitating through text, but it just allows you to be a little bit more
and
efficient.
I think too, from a social media standpoint, people know me before they come work with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to make a good balance of like, I want people to see enough about me that's like authentic to myself, that they like, hey, I kind of feel like I know Garrett and I want to work with him because he seems like a good guy. Balance between that and obviously like also having a personal life.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, asking and generating business that way, I had heard something a while back that like, there's a reason they have open signs on businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's to let people that they're open.
Yeah.
So I think half the battle is just letting people know that you're willing to work with them.
Yep.
Just because you're a realtor doesn't mean people are going to reach out, right? If I posted every day like, hey guys, I'm a realtor.
Over and over and over again, same thing.
Yeah, nobody's going to be like, okay, well, because at the end of the day, reaching out first, since I've already told you I don't like reaching out, or being the first point of contact. If you just allow people to feel comfortable reaching out, that's still a big step for them.
Yep.
You're still texting somebody first, you're DMing them first, they're scared of rejection. All the reasons that people don't ask people out on dates, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same reason they don't want to reach out to you, even though you're a realtor and your job is to sell houses.
Yep.
It's still scary. So you just have to allow people to understand that like, hey, I'm open for business. You put soft points of contact out there that are, hey, are you interested in buying soon? Are you interested in selling soon? Like, just all you have to do is click. Just click one. It's pretty easy.
DM me here.
If you don't feel comfortable just shooting me a DM that says, hey Garrett, we're looking in this price point in this area. We want this, this, and this, and we want to move in the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's not something you're comfortable saying, or hey Garrett, I want to buy a house or sell my house, I have no idea where to start. Like if you're not comfortable with either of those two, it's just like, here's a soft point. Like I'll do the talking and I'll ask the questions, but just let me know if you're interested.
Cool.
So there's a bunch of different ways to, I think, just allow people, you have to kind of reach your hand out and they'll meet you, but they're never fully going to come in.
Yep.
So how do you make them feel comfortable?
Freaking awesome.
Meeting you where you're at.
Yeah, this really good stuff. Like high visibility is what you're doing, right? At all times, which raises your probability of getting more leads. Yep. That's how you think of it, but you bring in that like connection to it as well. So when you said, hey, social media is going to be the thing that works, and you're probably more buy side heavy on the first couple years. You're starting to probably see that?
I'm starting to see that shift a little bit. Like last year, in my first 2 years, I was almost like 90% plus.
Okay.
The first 12 deals were all buy side.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the numbers have slowly started to change.
Yeah, as it will, right? Over the natural progression of an agent.
Yep. And then as I'm getting repeat business, obviously those people have all bought houses and they're selling them.
Yep.
Or some of them are renting. But kind of going back to what we talked about earlier with, high visibility, being top of mind is going to be most important when it comes to social media. So everybody knows a realtor. Mm-hmm. I think as a real estate agent getting into the game, it's really hard to comprehend that or like want to think about that.
Yep.
But the key is if you're just top of mind, right? So like when one of my followers or friends on Facebook go, hey, we're looking at maybe buying a house, like there's no question, we're going to reach out to Garrett. Like he posts literally every day.
Yep. And
he's mentioned several times that he's open for business. Let's just reach out to him.
And you're bringing them on that journey with you, right? Yep. Writing offers. This is what's happening today.
Yep. And I think coming back to that, like even if you have a small friends list or a small following list, there's no, like if you have 200 followers, there's no reason you shouldn't have 75 lifetime deals out of that.
That's great.
Or 75 clients, lifelong clients out of that.
Yep. That's a good.
So if you were to say, okay, well, the average person moves every 3 to 7 years, depending on where they're at and, their house buying journey.
Yep.
First time, second buying, whatever. If you can get 75 clients out of your following list or friends list, and they're flipping that every 7 years,
mm-hmm.
I mean, most agents would be very happy with 10 deals a year.
Heck yeah.
And then if they're clients, right, and they're starting to flip houses, it's 20 deals because they're buying and selling each of them. And I think when you make that mental adjustment of like, all I need is a percentage, if you have 400 followers and I can potentially get 100 lifetime clients out of this, like your mental shift of how am I going to put myself in front of these people changes. And there's been a couple agents I've helped along that journey mm-hmm. a little bit just to be like, hey guys, you grew up in Omaha. I didn't. You grew up in Omaha. all of your friends live here. All your high school buddies, all your college buddies, they live here. They might not be ready right now, but like,
It will be.
you got to make sure that it's very easy for them to reach out to you. Because even though they're your friends, they won't reach out to you.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
They just won't. So you have to make it
top of mind, right?
Yep, you have to make it super easy for them to reach out. And then also you have to make it easy, and you have to show value enough that they want to reach out to you over their parents' realtor.
Yep.
So it's just, it doesn't take much, right? Like, it's just consistency of showing up for work every day. I know that's hard for some people,
and
but like,
knowing what that work is, right?
Yeah, you just show up for work. You show people that you're willing to work for them. And kind of the one thing I changed in my social media game, probably, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I think a lot of realtors like to show, hey, I sold this house over asking. Hey, we got a good deal on this. But what does that look like,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, on social media, I started to do something that was like, hey, this quarter, I've saved my clients or generated them $50,000 in cash. They save $10,000 in closing costs. That's cash. It's cash they get to keep in their pocket that they can put in an emergency fund, that they can, or they just needed it.
Yep.
But that's just cash savings that people, I don't think, quite understand, that when you tally it all up, it's like, hey, I've saved my clients. Like last year, I saved my clients over $2 million.
Jeez.
In closing costs, or, the stat of selling over asking is always fun.
Yeah.
But as realtors, we all know that
If
we price it right, we should be able to get over asking every time. But it's okay. Well, what's the neighborhood? What's the next comp? How much higher did I sell it over that?
Yeah.
And I think those are kind of fun stats to play with, but it just shows, it puts a number on your value.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people never think about. It's like, okay, well, how much? Oh, he saved his clients over $2 million.
Yeah, it's unique. I might have to adopt that.
Yeah. It's kind of fun, but it also shows just like, hey, this is actually working.
Yep.
I think, there's a lot of stuff going on social media right now that's like, hey, if you get $5,000 in closing costs paid for, even if you have to like add it to the purchase price,
Mm-hmm.
That increases your payment by, $35, $50 a month, whatever it is. You get to save $5,000, right? So even if you say it's $100 a month, that's just $1,200 a year. It would take you 5 years to just make that up.
Yep.
So it's like, and back to the average cycle, it's 5 to 7 years. You're moving, your house is appreciated 3%.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to walk away with money in your pocket, and it's the value of $5,000 now versus 5 years from now.
Somebody else is going to have it, right?
Yeah.
So when you got into the social media side of things, how did you pick your strategy? Who are you going to talk to? You built a really great following now. I think over 20,000.
Yep.
It didn't happen in a day, right? So how did you see your following grow, and how did you select your content to eventually get clients?
I think, kind of taking it back to when I was first buying my first couple houses, you don't know what's out there from a price point. What does all this look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, hey, I'll start doing house tours, and it's around the time house tours kind of became popular.
Yeah.
But nobody, myself included, has the attention span to sit there and watch a minute-long, 30-second video of a house tour, because unless you're super interested in said house, but odds are you're not. Like, most people aren't interested in that particular house. But I just figured, if I show people price points, like, hey, if I post a $300,000 house in Omaha long enough, it's actually going to help me in the future, because people now know what $300,000 gets them in Omaha.
Yeah.
Right. But it's, most of my videos are under 9 seconds long. You can, boom, 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 boom. You're out, you're done with, you kind of know what it gets you.
Yep.
And then, but also just subtly in all those, just letting people know I'm opening for business too. Mm-hmm. They're fun, they're catchy. It draws people in. People love real estate.
Yep. I'm starting to see other people have started doing that. And you've been doing it for how long now?
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
Consistently.
Yep. And I think, I don't know that for rocket science, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first ones in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it a lot in Texas, was kind of the first place it came. Texas, California, and like New York City, the bigger markets.
Places where people move to, right?
Yeah. Where social media is a lot bigger than it is in Omaha, Nebraska, on about every front. So I just figured that I would start with that. I had a couple clients that followed me, and instead of showing them houses, I figured if I posted them, I wouldn't have to go I wouldn't have to drive around Omaha and show them 400 houses. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, if I start posting them, they start getting an idea of what they can afford. Like, this is what 300 gets you. This is what 400 gets you. This is what 500 gets you.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to put a mixed bag in, but I also understand that my demographic of followers is going to be under the age of 40. A lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, which is great. So like, you also have to balance that. Like, I know a lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, so like, let's post under 450.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere from 150 to 450 is kind of that first-time home buyer range. And then, you know, we'll throw in the expensive stuff just as like a fun look at it. And then for the occasional buyer that I get that's, you know, million plus.
Yep.
But the vast majority of my business is under 450.
When did you see that start to work? Like, how long did you have to do that before you got traction?
About 24 months.
Dang.
Like true traction, about 24 months.
Okay.
You know, I was growing my following very slowly. You know, a couple hundred, like we're talking 10 followers a month.
Okay.
So I think I grew my following by 1,000, 1,500, because you have a couple videos that do well and you get a couple more followers from that than you do normally. But, I think I grew my following by 1,500-ish in the first 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once the algorithm starts to, I couldn't tell you how that actually works, but once it starts to pick it up and run with it, that's where it's like, oh, that's cool. And the other thing is, people care about views, they care about followers. If I had 15,000 or 20,000, it doesn't really matter to me. Obviously the more is better, but the cool part about mine is 98% of my followers live in Omaha.
Wow.
Omaha, Lincoln. So like this like 60 square.
That was going to be my next question. That's incredible.
Yep. So, a lot of people post videos and they're like, oh, I got like 7 million views. It's like, that's awesome. But 6.9 million of those are from around the country.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. So like the cool part is like, if I get 100,000 views, 90% of those views come from this area.
That's huge.
So like, I'd rather take that over going super crazy viral. So like, all my stuff's geotagged to Omaha, or wherever said house is at.
Yep.
But my goal is to get views in that area. Or, phones are crazy anymore that if they understand that you're looking on Zillow or Realtor or Homes.com or whatever app you're using, if you're looking in Omaha, it'll start showing you Omaha content.
Yep.
So
with the consistency of how you post and your following, that brings more weight to that when somebody else is looking for something like, oh, they would like this.
Yep.
Right. And
it's kind of cool too. Like, as you probably know, you start to see yourself in different rooms now that you never thought you'd be in, to people that you looked up to. Yeah. And now it's, you're having more peer conversations, or even like they're asking you for help. And it's like, I don't deserve that.
Yeah, that's cool. What a cool way to think about it, right?
Yeah.
But you've done the work to deserve to be in those rooms, and your pathway ahead of you is going to lead you even further, right?
Yep.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit tactical. So how many posts per week do you try to focus on? And how many stories per week? Do you have anything that you're trying to do, or is it just like...
I try to get to 3 to 4 posts a week.
Okay.
Before I got as busy as I am now, I was on a pretty tight ship of every 2 days I'd post a reel. Mm-hmm. And then every day I would post a story. I still post stories every day, but my reels are becoming more like every 2 to 3-ish days.
Okay.
Mostly just because it takes time to look at content. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, all my stuff's just walkthrough, so like it doesn't take very long, but it's mostly just drive time.
Yeah. And oftentimes I imagine like sometimes you compare that with the showing that you're doing.
Yeah. Yep. And then also, just getting agents on board that like, hey, can I go film your house? Yeah. Too, like, can I go film your listing? Or is their clients okay with that? Most of the time it's pretty solid feed. Like most of the time it's like an easy yes, because with one click of my finger, I can take it to more people than you've gotten on Zillow. Yep. In 60 days. So usually it's a pretty easy yes, but sometimes it's not. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you got people reaching out, or you're reaching out, right? Yep. So either way, leads are coming through social media directly. What's the percentage of people reaching out to you versus you reaching out to them?
So I never reach out to anybody first. Okay. That's my goal. That's kind of my rule of thumb. I never want to be the guy that just goes through my list and just like, honestly, I couldn't get it through 20,000 anymore, but like, I never want to be the guy that just, clicks on people and DMs them. If they've ever reached out to me, I take that as a green light. Yeah. Okay. So even if it was 2 years ago and I've hit them up every quarter for the last 4 years, fair game in my mind. Yep. You reached out once for help or more information, or whatever it was, hey, is there anything I can do for you right now?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more than that. Like if it's, hey, I have tax questions, I'm not going to answer them, but I'll send you to a guy that can.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, it's just anything. Like, do you need anything from me? Like anything. And I've noticed that has started to work now. Probably more so in the last 12 months than it ever has.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't cold reach. I don't DM people. I just reach out to anybody that's ever messaged me or, gotten their phone number and for whatever reason that lead went cold, or stopped responding. I never want to pressurize people into something, but at the end of the day, everyone needs a place to live.
Yep.
At some point, right? At some point, 80 to 90% of Omaha residents buy a house in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. So it's like, whether it's today or 20 years from now, like, just here's my phone number and I still care. I still want to help you.
When you have, you're doing follow-up like once a quarter-ish for some of these people. I had a question there I was going to go with, but when you're doing how do you manage this amount of people? Because if you're doing 95 deals, number one, servicing them, that's a lot of time, especially if they're a lot more buy side than list side. But in order to get 95 deals, you have to have a gigantic pipeline, right, of leads that you're working. Do you organize, track that? How does that work for you?
I use a notebook.
Okay.
I've noticed that if I use CRMs and stuff, CRMs are great if you sit behind a computer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
So you're always on your phone.
If I get somebody that's like, hey, I am interested, just open the notebook, write it down, close it, and I keep my notebook in my center console of my truck. Okay. So just boom, write it down, put it away, and then I just know that I need to follow up with these people. Okay. And then as they become active clients and we're looking, I don't need that. But it's just the people that are 30 to 60 days out, that's kind of how I do that. One thing I also learned pretty easy and early on was I put the house emoji next to my clients' names. Okay. So that way when I'm just scrolling through my phone on my text messages,
that just means they're a lead.
That just means they're a lead and they're a client. So boom, text. Boom, text.
So several different ways to kind of remind yourself.
Yep.
Doing new school activities for lead generation, but old school ways of tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. We use notebooks. That's got to be a full notebook at this point.
Yeah, I restart it every year.
Okay. And then bring over the old stuff.
Yep. Just write down the new stuff. And also writing people's names down help me remember, said person's name.
Yeah.
But it's, right now it's mostly in my brain. But most people, I've also gotten my process down to where unless you are actively looking to buy a house, we're not looking.
Okay.
The just lookers, and all the power to you. Mm-hmm. Doesn't bother me at all. That's why I post videos. I kind of want you to look on my social media instead of just out looking. But, there's always open houses you can go to. There's stuff like that you can go to. But as far as my time goes, if you're an active buyer, meaning you need help today,
now
we're doing this.
You're
now.
0 to 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm always happy to hop on a phone call. I have clients that I've been texting for 8 months, and they are friends at this point, but we haven't done anything yet, which is fine. But it's just hey, we have questions. Cool. Let's answer them. Hey, we're not quite ready yet, but we're getting there. And I think the other thing too is having as a realtor where we care a lot about trying to sell people today, that we forget that we talk about it a lot, but getting people pre-approved. Mm-hmm. I won't work with anybody if they haven't been pre-approved.
Yep.
Mostly because, I don't have the time right now to just go show somebody a house that doesn't qualify. And it doesn't help them any either. I think that's what a lot of clients and realtors have to tell clients, hey, looking at a house right now doesn't actually help you. We don't know what you think what you can afford, but what you can afford, even what you can afford, say you're hey, yeah, $3,000 a month is easy for me, a mortgage payment. Bank might be we can only give you $2,000.
That's right.
And I think we think about that a lot, but we never push it back onto the buyer. We care about our time. Mm-hmm. We never go, hey guys, I'm actually trying to look out for you here. What the bank tells you can afford is actually the only thing that matters. Mm-hmm. What you can afford doesn't. And I think once you start to push that a little bit more. It's like, hey, I come from a place of wanting to help you.
Yep. So is that like those type of conversations that you're having, are those all over text?
Yeah.
You're kind of educating them through that. And then that list of your pipeline that you're managing. At any given time, I imagine there's 30 to 100 between 0 and 90 days.
Yeah, there's usually 30 to 50 people in that.
That you're like, these are the people I'm focusing on right now.
And I would say my pipeline probably looks a little different than most because I don't add anybody that's like, the toss up.
Yep.
So like my people a lot of people put their pipeline out and they have like 100 people in their pipeline.
Yep.
Right. But like the only people that make it in my pipeline are pre-approved buyers.
Okay.
Everybody else goes into like the distant, iCloud area of, hey, they're on the sheet, they're in prospecting mode, but they're not making my pipeline.
Okay, cool. So that's good. So when we coach and focus here is 0, 30, 30, 90, 90 plus.
Yep.
90 plus being 92 a year. Those are the people you're just naturally working those through follow up.
Yep.
And then your 0, basically AB, warm, hot. Those are the people that are on your list. They're pre-approved and they're ready to go. We talked a little bit about this. Do you have an appointment with every single one of them? Are you using showings for that appointment? Like, how does that process work for you?
I meet with, if people want to sit down and talk about things, I'm all game to do that. But in my mind, I'd rather, knock out 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the house you like. And then let's sit in there and talk for 40 minutes or sit in the driveway and talk. Let's get all your questions answered, but also like, let's go look at the house you like.
Yep.
Cause if we meet before that and then we go look at the house, like we're having 2 separate occasions. The drive to my office is 20 minutes and 20 minutes home. The drive to said house is 25 minutes and 25 minutes home. So I'd rather kill 40 minutes by let's just do it at one place.
Yep. And then you're using that first showing, obviously to show them the house, but teach them the process.
Yep.
That's that where you're setting expectations, because when you have 30 to 50 pre-approved buyers, how do you show them any houses?
I try to set expectations from the get-go.
Okay.
I'm big on, and I think I've kind of made that. The nice part is most people that buy a house from me have been following me for 6 to 9 months, most. So they kind of understand the process. That I try to put my process out there subtly, so that way it's like almost known, but like not known. If that makes sense. So like when I put the expectations out there, it's that makes sense. My goal is to show everybody. I try to keep it under 3 to 5 houses before we make an offer. If we're looking at 3 houses and you don't offer on any of them, we're looking at the wrong houses.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't like said house or said 3 house set, what are we looking for? Because we're going off this criteria that you want. What about these 3 don't fit this criteria? Because then we need to change this criteria.
Yep. And you've seen that be effective in that conversation you have in person, I imagine, when you're at a showing. Like, hey,
actually through text.
Through text too?
Yep, because I want to set the expectation before we even go look at houses.
Okay.
That, if we go look at, I've had clients that look at 30 houses, but we're offering, right? You can't really do much about it. If you put your best foot forward, another offer beats you, there's just,
that's market.
It wasn't meant to be.
Yep.
But, if we're not offering at least by the 5th house, are you maybe not as ready as you thought you were, which is fine. We'll just reassess when you think you might be a little bit more ready.
Yep.
Or B, what's wrong with our criteria? Is it location? Is it price point? Do you want to go up a little bit higher than you thought you did to get to the nicer houses? Do you want to drop it down because you're not quite, you thought you were okay with a $3,000 mortgage payment, but you actually want to be a little bit closer to 24?
Yep.
What about our criteria set is different or needs to change?
And then just making those adjustments with them.
Making those adjustments. And again, being I don't care, right? Whatever you guys want to do. If we do end up looking at 7 houses before you write an offer, that's fine. It's not ideal. Because mostly, you go back into what actually matters to the client. You start to get into, the decision paralysis or whatever that's called. Yep. Where options, you can option yourself to death too.
Yep.
Okay, well, I like this.
Decision fatigue, yeah.
Yeah, and there's
it's overwhelming.
At a certain point, nothing's going to be perfect. So nobody likes to hear that.
You're prepping them with that. Hey, we don't want to reach that point.
Yep.
Cool. And the only reason we would is because we're writing offers and they're not getting there. What's average showings per client?
Right now I'm between 3 and 4.
Awesome. Those are really, really efficient number. What do you think is like the key behind working that many buyers and still having them feel like they're the only one you're working with, right?
I've been asked that before. I don't know the answer to that. But all of my clients have said that they feel like they're my only client when I work with them. I think that the thing is, well, one, we don't have kids. My wife don't. And two, my wife's very busy too in medical school. So I have the time
to do it.
Very rarely do I have to say we have to do that tomorrow because I'm too busy tonight. Like I usually find a time, even if it's not ideal for me. It's like, okay, well, 7:45 is when I'm free. Let's go look at it. Obviously, it's a little different in the winter because it's not light outside. But
yeah,
in the summertime, it's like, hey, as long as the sun's shining, let's go look at houses.
Yep.
And then also just like you have to create your own boundaries too. Like, hey, like Wednesday mornings for me are the time that I allow myself to go do normal human being things.
Cool.
Like
you're
bank.
human.
Yeah, like bank. Hey, I'm going to allow myself to go to the gym at 9 o'clock in the morning because I want to today.
Yep.
But I also just think like just communicating them like they're people and not a paycheck is massive for people. Like when they feel like their opinions matter or when their values matter, and they do. I mean, it's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
They start to think of you as a, solution rather than somebody who's just trying to sell them something.
Yeah. It's cool. What I'm kind of picking up from this conversation is a lot of the trust that you have with your people is built way before they work with you, right? Because they're seeing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So when they're not with you, they know what you're doing. They've been watching it for 2 years.
Yep.
So I feel like responsiveness is huge. I mean, for any realtor to be great at what they do, responsiveness is going to be one thing, and not having a lot of external things that take your time away allow you to do that. But building trust and setting expectations are two things that probably aren't spoken about as much with you. Just the trust of, I know what he's doing right now because I've watched it. And then setting expectations. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but in order to work the amount of business you are and to be efficient and to be successful in doing it and not burnt out, unless you are feeling burnt out, like that takes a really, really strong expectations being set in that first meeting. Seems like you probably do that.
Definitely. Well, we said too earlier, if you look at your following list as a people of an audience that you're standing in front of and talking to, it's built over 9 months or 6 months or 4 months. This is what I'm doing for you. It might be stupid. It might be simple, but a picture on my deck of me writing offers at 9:45 at night.
Yeah.
You go, oh, and he's working late. But like you do that for the last 4 years and people go, oh, well, he works until 10.
Yep.
He works until the job's done.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just kind of what you brand yourself is what people think of you as.
Yep. Then you've done a good job of communicating that.
Yeah.
And keeping that trust with the client too. Like, I care about you guys and I'm doing the actual work to show you that.
Yep.
It's good. It's really good. Okay, cool. So I've kind of covered a lot of this. We didn't cover probably any of the questions that you were prepared for. So we kind of took it a different direction. And I feel like I've learned a lot from this as well. With you kind of heading through the rest of this year, what are you kind of seeing happening in the market over the next couple months? How can agents find success in this next 60 days?
Well, one, I think we're on a track, and you can agree with me or disagree with me on this. I think we're on the track for the next couple of years that entry-level pricing in Omaha is going to be at 300. Our market has gone from, hey, we're really slow to, hey, I can't find anything for under 350.
Yep.
If there is something under 350, it's gone yesterday.
Yep.
And we went from in January, homes were sitting, 300 homes were sitting to a month and a half later. I had a client that bought last November. They bought it $298. And if they sold their home today, they'd get $325. Just as a split levels, those $300,000 split levels, they're gone.
Yep.
But I think the key in winning in this market is, one, you have to form relationships with other agents. When I put my name in on an offer, I want that agent to know they're working with Garrett, and most do. Like, hey, we want to work with Garrett because he's going to do whatever he can to get this deal to close, even if it means he doesn't make money. Because I do. I mean, my average commission is much lower than probably most. So So, but I always want agents to know that Garrett will do whatever he can to get this deal to close. You know, if the appraisal comes in light, he'll do what he can to make it work for everyone. So the buyer's happy and the seller's happy. Because at the end of the day, our job is to put people in houses and that everybody's happy. Like that's our job. Our job's not to make the most money. Our job is to make buyer and seller happy.
Yep.
And that's the way I go into a lot of those transactions. And then also just understanding too, like you're not going to win all of them. You know, as long as your clients know that and they figure it out really quickly, because that first offer in the 325 price point, they don't win normally.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But I would just say, you know, one, understanding relationships between agents. I know it's not always easy because we're all competitors at the end of the day, but also I can't work with everybody. You can't work with everybody. So there has to be agents in Omaha. So it's just like, okay, well, you know, you just got to form those relationships.
Because you're going to see them again too.
Yeah.
Don't make
and then also understanding too, I think one thing that we take for granted or don't quite understand enough, I have a little bit of a financing background, which helps me a lot. But just understanding where your buyer's at in a more complex way financially, you know, talk to the lender, see where they're, just understand their financial health, you know, and then you can make your offers depending on that. You know, the financial health of one of my clients strongly dictates how I put an offer in. And hey, this is competitive. And it's not just from like a, hey, you know, we're only approved for 325 and this is probably going to go for 330. But it's like, hey, financially, you probably shouldn't even go to 325. But just understanding that the right one will come. Yep. And then when your clients trust you to be like, hey guys, like this is going to escalate to 340. I'd be careful about going to 340 just because I don't see any value in the neighborhood that has been that high. Like just my professional opinion. Yep. You know, some of that, as long as it's true, right? It has to be true. Yeah. That resonates with them and they start to trust you even more. And then when you say, hey guys, like 325, hop on this, they do.
Yep. Because they trust you. Because you demonstrated that.
Yep.
The point you made about inventory was under 350 is 100% true. You're spot on. We have less than 0.7 months of inventory, meaning if nothing new came to the market, we'd run out of inventory in 21 days. And
well, and the inventory that's on there has been on there, right? So like, it's not necessarily like
it's been picked through.
Yeah, it's been picked through. So like, there's a reason that inventory isn't selling, right?
Yep.
And the one thing I am noticing more now than I ever had before in Omaha is left on market. You know, left on market for backup offers only. Yep. So that influences some of those market statistics too, because they're not actually contract pending in the MLS.
You have to exclude it by does not contain.
Yep. They're contract pending in the description, and they're on the market for backup offers only. So like, you know, you take your list of you know West Omaha under 300, you exclude those, and it's like and then you go, okay, well I want a Millard buyer or you know West Elkhorn out to like you know south of Center and north of Giles from Interstate to 204th. You know, what used to be 20 options, there's 4.
Yep.
So like when one does pop, there's just no inventory because those other 4 have been picked through.
Yep. There's a reason.
There's a reason, yeah. There's nobody's looking at them anymore, which also turning point, those 4 are great options for buyers that have lost out on all these.
Big time.
So what price point do you like these at? And obviously if you can't make it work, whatever, but like, hey, these are prime for the picking for you guys. You need closing costs?
This is the ones that go.
These are the ones.
Yep, that's exactly right.
You know, and I think it's also going back to your last question, going back to the expectations of buyers, like, hey, I understand we need all of our closing costs paid, or at least most of them. We can't go look at homes that are a day on the market.
Yep.
Like,
and if you are, like, you got to be having a really good conversation with that listing agent ahead of time.
Yep. Or it's got to be so far under your budget that you can somehow finance it in and the comp support that.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if the comp supported, it's probably just going to go full comp value. But I digress. But yeah, inventory is.
You can tell you love this.
Yeah. And the other crazy part is I feel like we're starting to see that. I call it a dead man's land, dead man's zone of you know you get to like that 450 to like 550 price point. It is not moving.
Not at all.
450, 550, not moving.
Almost 4 months of inventory there.
Yep.
It shoots up quick.
But then over 550,
moving again.
You're moving again.
Yep.
Which I think is very funny, but but it also makes sense. Like if if you can afford 450, most people are buying less,
Mhm.
you know, and if you can afford 550, there's a very stark difference in houses between 550 and 6.
Yep.
So you're just
Well,
buying up.
and a lot of those people moving into the 450 to 550 have very, very low interest rates, and they're hanging on to
Yep.
them, which is why we're not getting the inventory back in the lower price points as well.
Yep.
So like interest rates coming down is going to open all that up, and then you're going to get your inventory back under
Yep.
350 as well. So that'll be an interesting
also,
point.
If you do have a 2% mortgage rate, I probably wouldn't sell my house either. So
There you go. See, and that's the struggle we're seeing though. So it's interesting. All right, we could probably go on this for another 2 hours. I know how busy you are, so I appreciate you making time for this and the event that's coming up on May 6th.
Yep.
We have a great panel with you, Brittany, and Katie. All of you guys have sold a lot of houses on the buy side, but all tremendous agents through and through, all top agents in Omaha. So I'm excited to hear what comes from that panel, and I'm excited to see what you do over the next couple of years.
thank you.
I appreciate you being on the podcast. We will see you guys in a couple weeks.